Well, now, do you happen to have yourself 50,000 Kenyan shillings hidden somewhere? That's like 500 US dollars, okay? For the sake of those who are watching me internationally. So this is what I want you to do. And that money is actually lying idle somewhere. And remember what we said some couple of videos ago? Thou shalt never have what we call the idle money. I remember when I was growing up, we used to have a certain saying that says, an idle mind is devil's workshop. I mean, just the way you're not supposed to be idle, also the money shouldn't be idle. And by the way, for God's sake, there is something that you can do with that specific money. And guess what? I'm going to share with you 5 things that you can be able to do with as little as 50,000 that you have it in your savings. Probably you're scratching your head and asking yourself, well, I have this money. I'm pretty sure it can buy me a car. It can get me a lot of things, but there's something that it can get you. Remember what I always say, it's always good to do that what you can before you get that what you want. All right, let's get into the business. And if you're watching me for the first time, make sure that you hit like on this video, make sure that you subscribe and leave me a comment on the comment section. All right, let's get into the business now. 50,000, pretty sure some people will say it's not a huge amount of money. That's like 500 USD. All right, now the issue is what you're supposed to do, the very first thing, and by the way, the first thing that I'm going to share with you is a thing that I used to do. The very first thing that I used to do, by the way, is I used to do what we call the peer-to-peer lending. Peer-to-peer lending. Okay? Peer-to-peer lending. Do you know what that means? Okay? Where I used to live, I used to live next to a market. And there were these, in Kenya, we call them the ladies of the market. By the way, it's not even about ladies. It's actually a composition of every gender out there, okay? See, I used to live near the market. So what I used to do, by then I didn't even have 50,000. I started with 15,000, I remember. But the mistake I did is that I went out there and I shared the information with one lady and told her, hey, you know what? By the way, I'm lending out some cash. And she was like, yeah, I need some cash right now. I want to go buy some stock for me to do the business. You see, these ladies don't do big businesses, Maybe the stock can go for maybe a couple of thousand, 2, 3, 4, 5 or something of sort. She wanted to get the 5,000. I told her, well, for the first time, I can't give you the 5,000, but I can give you 3,000. And then, obviously, I knew the procedure, how it goes by. She has to come with her ID. She has to front a guarantor. And guarantor, in that case, I didn't want to complicate the process. Come with a guarantor who is your fellow business person. So they get the ID of the fellow business person, your ID, and then you come here, we sign some documentation, you get a form, I get a form, just for the purposes of what you call the due diligence. And I could give them 1,000 bob. That 1,000 bob, they return that with 150 at the end of the week. I mean, seriously, if I give a couple of 1,000, then my money is actually giving birth to small monies. And this is exactly how we create wealth. All right? See, what happens now when it comes to peer-to-peer lending, you need to be very cautious and careful. This is a business. This is not an investment. This is a business. And remember what we said. Any business has what? Has high risks. And guess what happens now? It has high returns. Okay? By the way, I'm telling you, there are people who have grown a lot of wealth using this thing. If you're watching me from Kenya, you already know these people. We call them beautiful Shylocks. You know them. These people are very wealthy, and I believe they're all over the places as far as the world is concerned. So peer-to-peer lending, you can get into it. But there are some of the things that I need you to be very cautious and careful before you get into this business, okay? There are cases of having some defaulters. What we used to do, or what I used to do, you cannot eradicate the fact that you cannot get a defaulter along the way. You can. But what we do, remember one thing, and this is, I really hope you'll get my point. See, winning or success, it is not a continuous win. It is an occasional wins that is actually substitutes, or it's actually that covers the, some often losses, or should I say seldom losses. Let me repeat my point. Winning, or rather what you call success, is occasional wins will send them losses. There are losses in between, even those who operate businesses. I was watching one of the podcast here, I wouldn't mention the channel, and the guy was talking about they're in the car business, and there's at times you can even have a stock, you have not sold something substantive in this particular month, but you have some overheads. You need to pay some leasing or rent, you need to pay your workers, you need to pay all those kind of things, but you haven't sold a car. And then a customer shows up, they want to buy a car. That car, maybe say it costs 4 million, but the car, let's say that car, let's say if you were to sell it at a good price, maybe it will cost you like 4.8 million, so that you make a profit of 800,000. But this client tells you, I only have the 4 million. And that 4 million probably is the price that you bought. You have to sell that car at that particular price. You didn't make any profit. That's for a fact. But you need to pay some overheads. So when it comes to this kind of a business, what you do, for example, say if you have this 50,000, assuming that you lend each and every person at 1,000 bob. Therefore, it means that you have 51,000. You have 51,000. Okay? okay, I don't know whether I'm making sense. Like you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,000. So, and each 50 is giving you 150 Kenyan shillings. Okay. Therefore, it means that you'll need 50 multiplied by 150. Therefore, it is 50. How is it done? It is 150 multiplied by 5. That I think is 7,500 if I'm not wrong. Are we together? Yeah, you can do the mathematics. Is around there. Is it 750 or 7,000? Yeah, 7,500. That is what you get at the end of the week. In that process, these are 50 people, assuming that each and every person you actually lend them 1,000 bob. Okay, so you are dealing with 50 people. Okay, now what happens? Not all the 50 people will pay you back the money. Some of them in Kenya we call them sumbua. Sumbua simply means someone who will just a difficult customer. Oh, you are there. Oh, I'll give you. Oh, the business don't. Oh, what? They give you 100 bob. They give you 200. They disappear for a 1 week. They don't have. You get the thing. There are those kind of things. And if you maybe even get 4 people. Maybe if you can get even 4 people. 4 people is quite a huge percentage. You rarely get to this number, but let's say if you can get 4 people. 4 people, that means 4,000 is gone. 4,000 is gone. Okay, assuming they don't even pay you a dime. So 4,000 is gone. You've made yourself 7,500. So remaining with 3,500. You're in business. This is far much better than your money lying idle in a bank. This is exactly what you do. And then what we do when these 4 people now becomes a bit difficult to pay, what I used to do, not that I want them to pay me the entire amount of money. No, sometimes I even forget about them paying me the interest. Okay, or I can tell them, hey, guess what? Fine, you got some of my money. What I want you to do for now, pay the interest. Have you ever heard of Shylock telling you, you just pay the interest first. Forget about the principal. Pay me the interest. All right, so they pay you the 150 shillings. They don't return their 1,000 bob. So the next week you tell them, you know what, just forget about the principal, pay me the interest. They give you another 150. Now that's 300. Remember, they have you 1,000 shilling. Now we are at 300. Another week comes in, assuming that they are not paying you entirely. You tell them, you know what, forget about the principal, just pay me the interest. The moment you do that, if you do that a couple of times, guess what happens now? You recover your 1,000 bob, and if you're a little bit, what do we call it? If you're a little bit a bit tough, you can get another 150. And then guess what? Yes, I know it has taken a lot of time to get the profit of the 150 or 150, but the fact remains the money hasn't been lost. And let's say maybe out of the 4 guys who have defaulted, 2 of them totally disappears with their money. They will never pay you back. All right, now you'll be like, fine. See, you don't want to create. So what I used to do, because I'm telling you, I used to live in a market somewhere. So what I used to do, I don't want to create chaos. Like I bring officers there, I threaten them, I kind of harass them, because some others may see how I'm behaving and I might lose customers at the same time. So what you do, you are tough. You be a little bit tough at the same time you are considerate. You tough and considerate, because yes, you are pressing to get 1,000, but at the back you're losing others. And I'm telling you, the mistake that I did is that I told her that I'm actually lending the cash. And that particular evening, 4 ladies came to me. Yes, we were told that you do lend money. We want some cash. These people, they are ready to do the what we call the peer-to-peer lending. But what you're supposed to do, you may not have the intelligence, but this is a thing that you can learn. What you're supposed to do is to teach them how they can manage to pay back. For example, I had a client who was telling me he's doing this business, but now the problem is that at the end of the week, the guy says, you have to return my 1,000 shilling and 150. These people are not operating big businesses. Now, what happens, what you can do is to go ahead and ask them. Instead of actually you consolidating all that money and at the end of the week, you give me their 1,150, you can actually be paying me daily, because these are business people who are dealing with liquid cash. So they pay you daily, continuously, so that at least you can be able to make that sort of a burden a bit simpler compared to they have to consolidate all that money. And probably maybe they don't have even the discipline of actually doing that specific thing. So I am telling you this, and take my words correctly. If you can get this to peer-to-peer lending business, that is a great business. But what you're supposed to do, follow the due diligence. You might need some certification, or maybe what do you call them? You might need the regulations. To follow the regulations, you have to have, as the business grows, you can come to a certain point where by now you realize the business is growing, the business is bigger, the business now, is doing good. So you need to have a lawyer at your disposal, or an advocate. You need to have at least 2 or 3 police officers at your disposal. When I say at your disposal, I don't mean like you control them. No, I mean like you can access them. And obviously you have to pay for those services, just in case there is something like someone, there are some people very well, this person can pay, but they're just misbehaving happening here and there. So all the terms that you actually write there, they can be able to help you. I'm stressing on this before I even share the other points, because I know these are things that you can even do within a click of a fingers. Okay, now that is exactly you get yourself all the nitty-gritties. Let's go to the next point, or the next thing that you can do with this kind of a thing. The next thing is not complicated. It is just you getting yourself into what we call you can get yourself into T-bonds. With this amount of money, you can get yourself into T-bonds or treasury bonds, because in Kenya you need a minimum of 50k to get yourself into a treasury bonds. Let's say maybe you get yourself into a treasury bond that goes for 3 years, for 3 years. So when you invest your 50,000, and let's say this treasury bond is giving you something like 14%. So if you're giving you 14%, so what is 14% of 50,000? Because 10% of 50,000, that's around 5,000. So call it like 4,000 around there. So call it like 9,000. Okay, 9,000 is what you get. So that is the year one. Year two, you get the similar thing, and year three, you get the similar thing. So multiply this by 3, you have yourself 27,000. So 27,000, guess what? Now what you have? You have 27,000 plus 50,000. Now you have your 77,000. And this one is I don't want to say risk-free, but it's very secured. Your cash is actually very much secured, because we call it, it's a capital preservation. Now, in that case regard, you have something that you can be able to do. If this one may sound that because this one does not have what we call the compounding effect, you cannot even do a top-up. If you want to do something that can actually help you to do some top-ups, you can go ahead and try something that I always talk about, of which I won't even stress on it. That is the point number 3. You can get yourself into something called money market fund. Money market fund, this one have what we call the daily interest or daily profit, however you're going to call it. It's actually credited into your account each and every day, and payable monthly, compounded yearly. That make a sense on that? Yeah, I always talk about money market fund. Let me not spend a lot of time explaining this. And money market fund in Kenya, you can start even with as low as 100 shillings, all the way as 100. That's like $1. Okay. Now the point number 4 that you can actually get yourself into, this is a point that most of the people tend to neglect. You might have yourself some debts. You clear some debt. You can actually use that money to clear some debt. You settle some debts. Settle some debts. Debt settling. Have you ever come across an individual who is telling you, I'm struggling with debts, but I have some savings with me, and the debt is coming to a point whereby it's even unhealthy. Guys are even thinking about coming to my place and do the, what do you call them, the auctioning or something? Yeah, so you find, it doesn't make any sense to me, if you ask me, honestly speaking, when you are saving at the same time, you have some people who are asking you for the same money that you're saving. First of all, get off these guys on your shoulder. Settle all those debts, and once you settle these debts, then you can actually have a clear thinking. Because even the Bible says that the borrower is always a slave of the lender. Yeah. So you really need to get off the debt, so that at least you can be able to have a clear mind and you can be able to progress to the next level. That's the reality. Yeah. That may not sound as if it's an investment on the finances, but it's an investment on your mental health. So it's good to invest, because I always tell people you are well, or rather your health is always your wealth. So when you actually settle your mental health, it becomes clearer. You can be able to think straight. You can be able to engage in different things at the same time. That's a great thing. Have you ever been in a situation whereby you have a debt somewhere, even you can't think clear and such kind of a thing? So be very careful, keen and cautious. Okay, now we go to the point number 5. The point number 5, this is what we call even getting yourself into small businesses. Get yourself into small businesses. Small businesses in this case regard 50k. I don't want to say this can start this or the other, because the whole point is not me just throwing ideas to you. And I know most of you are like, hey, what businesses can I start with 50k? What businesses? That's not really the way to answer our question, because honestly, if right now I start telling you what you can do with 50k, there are very many. You can do a vegetable business, you can do fruit business, grocery business, you can do second-hand clothing. Kenya, we call them mitumba. I don't know where you call them in your country. You can get yourself into egg business, you can get into milk business, you can get into, seriously, you can even buy yourself a second-hand motorbike and start doing what we call the logistics, the deliveries. You go get contracted by a company that maybe perhaps they don't have the proper way of deliveries and something. And on that particular thing, you can even do boda with a second-hand motorbike, you yourself, and you can actually be able to earn something at the end of the day, because there is an idea of you buying the motorbike, lending it to somebody or giving it to somebody to pay you back. It works, but sometimes it actually has a lot of moving parts here and there. So the idea is not just me throwing you ideas of what you can be able to do. You see where you live right now as you're watching this video, ask yourself, what exactly can I do? And that what can I do, can it be done by 50K? And if it can be done by 50K, then where in specific can I set up that thing that can be done with 50K that is needed in my location? I always tell people, when you're looking for a business idea, look for problems. Don't look for solutions first. Look for problems. So if you look for the problems, then ask yourself, what are the solutions? Then you ask yourself, the solutions that are needed, can they be solved by 50,000? If the question is yes, then go ahead and offer the solutions, because some money is a reward given after solving someone's problem. The mistake that people do is to, hey, I want to start a business because I love this business. I want to do this. There is no solution that you're offering. There is no problem that you're solving. You just want to have yourself in a business. Why? Probably you don't love your job. And I say the worst mistake you can ever do is to quit the job that you don't love to start a business that you don't understand. Because at the end of the day, guess what happens now? You lose the job and you lose the savings. Be smart. Now, the last thing that I can say you can get yourself into, some of you may not agree with me here, or some of you may be like, that sounds boring. You can get yourself some skills. You can use the money to learn some skills, okay? You can learn yourselves to get some skills. For example, I always love to give this example. For if today I promise you come to my company, I give you the internship, you work for me for free for the next 3 months, and I can assure you 100% the 4th month I will employ you. You will sacrifice that. What if today I tell you, take the same 50,000, go learn yourself a skill, and that skills, you can actually be able to add your value, and you can be able to disseminate those services to some occasions or to some people, and they can pay you back. Probably you might like, okay, yeah, I will think about that. Now, what skill can I learn? Again, it does not start with what skill can I learn. It starts with what problems are there that need to be solved. And then you ask yourself, what are the solutions of that problem? And then you go ahead and offer that specific solution. Then you can be able to do something as far as that is concerned. So basically what I'm saying with this 50K that you have in your, and another, the last thing that you can be able to do, actually now this is like 7 points. The last thing that you can do with this is actually what we call the stocks. Okay, or the shares, as you commonly call them. But honestly speaking, depends. This 50,000 is the only money that you have. In Kenya, we say mbele na nyuma, simply means that is the only dear money that you have. I wouldn't advise you get yourself into stocks because it has a little bit of volatility. But if you just want to get yourself a little bit of a foot into it, maybe you can buy stocks worth like 10,000 and just to be somewhere, just to diversify. And then the other money, you can put it in a money market fund if you don't want these complicated things of investment. Why I didn't encourage you to get started on the stocks, because, well, stocks, you always view them from a long-term point of view. You don't really view them in terms of hey, I want them to solve my tomorrow's problem or something. No, it cannot do that. And some people tell me, hey, sometimes you can inbox me and tell me, hey, Joseph, I have 15,000. I want to buy shares because I want to cater for myself. If you buy shares today, can't buy you a wheat flour the evening. It cannot. Yeah, it can't. You can't even feel a big effect of this money even after 1 year. All right. So it is good to make sure that you understand all those nitty-gritties. Anyway, guys, guess what? Those are just but examples of the areas where you can be able to invest your cash and do something. And don't let your money lie idle in a bank. I always say this. Idle money is the genesis of you misusing it. And then you start asking yourself, where is my savings going? That is exactly where your savings is going. For now, it's a good pipe. But don't forget, today, sorry, it has just passed. By the time I upload this video, the thing will be ended. Okay, but anyway, I'm gonna prepare another session where we're gonna have a discussion about financial management next time, and I'm gonna inform you here. And thank you very much. And see you in the next one. By the way, don't forget to hit the like button, comment down below, and leaving me a subscription and a thumbs up. See you in the next one.